Today we're going to be learning about simple interest. This is our last lesson in chapter 15. And to do simple interest, we are going to just use a formula or an equation that we're just going to plug numbers in for each part that it stands for. Okay, but first let's start off with some vocabulary. So we're going to have interest is money paid or earned for the use of money. So for example, when you buy a house, okay, unless you have like $350,000 laying around in your bank account, which I don't, you have to take out a loan. And the way that those banks earn money is by charging you interest on the money that you borrow. Okay. Also, like credit cards, the way that credit cards earn money is they charge interest on the amount of money that you're spending if you don't pay your bill like when it's due. Okay, so that's what interest is. It's the money paid or earned for the use of money. The principal is the amount of money borrowed or deposited. Okay, a way that we positively see interest is bank accounts. Okay, so if you keep your money in a certain bank, they have a super small interest that they will pay you to keep your money in their bank. It doesn't add up to a lot. I think mine is like every time I get paid interest is like 3 cents. Okay, so it's not a lot, but it just adds up over time. It's just an incentive to keep your money in the bank. All right, so that's interest and that's what the principal means. But simple interest, which is what we're going to be learning, is money paid or earned only on the principal. Okay, so only on the money borrowed or deposited. All right. Our equation for interest is I equals P times R times T. Okay, let's break down each of these letters. I is talking about the interest. Okay, so this is the money that you are paying the bank on top of what your loan was for. Okay, or this is the amount of money the bank is paying you for keeping your money in their savings account. All right, the P, we can guess, stands for principal. So this is the amount of money that your loan is for. So if I'm buying a $350,000 house, I need a $350,000 loan. That's the principal. Okay. The R is the annual percentage rate. Okay, and this is going to be in decimal form. Okay, and what annual means is it's talking about for 1 year. What is that rate? So that's important to know too. So it's their yearly rate. What this means is a lot of loans and things can like jack up their annual percentage rate the next year. It's only kind of locked in for that year unless you sign like a contract where they will not change that annual rate, interest rate. All right, last but not least, we have our T, which is our time. So how long are you having that loan for? You're going to pay more interest the longer you're paying that loan off. Okay, so this is time in years. I also want to add back over to this interest that this is in dollars. Okay, so this is the amount of money. And that's what our equation means. So for every single problem that we're going to be solving today, we're going to be using this equation. Now, you're going to have to memorize this. And the way that I memorize it is I equals PERT, P-R-T, okay? I equals PERT. Kind of reminds me of like Cardi B's, oh, Kurt, you know? Maybe you don't know. Who knows? Just how I remember it. All right, let's do some examples. You put $500 in a savings account. The account earns 3% simple interest per year. What is the interest earned after 3 years? So we're going to start off with our equation, I equals PERT. Okay. Our interest is what it's asking for, so we're not going to know what that interest in dollars is. Our principal is how much money you put in or how much money you're loaning. So if you're putting in $500 into a savings account, that's our principal. Our rate is 3%. We make that into a decimal by moving it over twice, 0.03, times our time, which is just, 1 year. Oh, sorry, no, it asks for 3 years. Right here, 3 years. All right, so we take our calculator and we multiply 500 times 0.03 times 3, and we will get our interest equals $45. Okay, so that's how much money you're making after 3 years by putting that money into a savings account. Now, this is not a normal percentage rate. Like I said, mine is like 3 cents every month or so. So that's not normal to make that much money, but that's really cool if you find a bank that has a high interest rate like that. Next question, what is the balance after 3 years? Okay, so we put $500 into the savings account. That's not changing. Okay, that money's staying there, but then we're also earning this $45 in interest. So we're going to have $500 plus the $45 that the bank is giving us, and we're going to have $545 in the bank after 3 years. All right, let's go on to some more examples. We always start off with our equation, I equals PERT. You put $100 into a bank account, or into an account. The account earns $100 simple interest in 4 years. What is the annual interest rate? So this time we're missing the rate, so this R is going to stay here. You put $100 into the account, that's going to be our principal. You earn $100 simple interest, that's going to be our interest. In 4 years is going to be our time. All right, so let's plug in those numbers for those letters. We have 100 equals 1,000 times R times 4. We can take 1,000 times 4, so we get 100 equals 4,000 times R. So we would divide by 4,000, divide by 4,000. Oops. We get R is equal to 0.025. We want to give that back in a percent because interest rates are always given in percents. So we move that over twice, 1, 2. We get 2.5%. All right, so the trickiest part about this whole thing with interest is just knowing what letters you have numbers for and what's missing. That's really all that's to it. A bank offers 3 savings accounts. The simple interest rate is determined by the principal. How long does it take an account with a principal of $800 to earn $100 in interest? Okay, so here are the 3 different types of banking accounts. Simple interest rate is determined by the principal. The principal is $800, and we want to know $100 in interest. So there's our I, there's our P. If we have $800, we're going to use our graphic down here to figure out what our interest rate would be. So less than 500 would not apply. 500 to 5,000. So we have a 2% interest rate. Notice they're kind of getting you to put more money in by giving you higher interest rates. All right, so let's write our equation. I equals PERT. We have our interest is 100. Our principal is 800. Our rate is, we make that a decimal, 0.02 times our time. We're not sure how long that's going to take. That's what the question is asking. All right, so let's take 800 and multiply it by 0.02, and we will get 16 times t. We would then divide each side by 16. We get t equals 6.25. Okay, and remember that answer is in years. So our answer would be 6.25 years. All right. Just one more example. You borrow $600 to buy a violin. The simple interest rate is 15%. You pay off the loan after 5 years. How much did you actually pay for the loan? So that means how much did you pay for the interest and the $600 that you borrowed. So we start off with our I equals PERT. All right. We don't know how much interest it is, so we're going to leave it. We know our time is T. Our 600 is our principal because that's how much we're borrowing. Our interest rate is 15%. We move that over, would be 0.15 is our rate. Then we just plug those in. So we don't know our interest. Our principal is 600. Our rate is 1/1500, or 0.15. Our time is 5 years. We take those numbers, we multiply them all together, and we should get $450. Okay, but that's not what the question asked. The question did not ask how much interest are you paying. It's asking how much are you paying for the loan. Okay, so now we have to add our principal, how much money we borrowed to begin with, and how much interest we paid them over the course of those 5 years. So we would add our 600 plus 450. We would get $1,000 and $1,050. That's crazy. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. You're now going to spend your class time practicing.